What is going on, everybody? It's been a little over 6 years since Nintendo Switch has first come out. The Switch released around March 2017, so it's been about 6 years. And Nintendo has gone on the record to say they have no plans on releasing any new hardware until maybe April of 2024. So my name is Logic Motion, and today we're going to talk about why that is. Okay, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I just want to sprinkle a little disclaimer there, and it's just that I love my Switch. I use my Switch almost exclusively for Pokemon, the Pokemon remakes, Legends, Arceus, and Sword and Shield. Like, I love those games, and I also play like beat 'em up games like River City Girls, Streets of Rage. Basically, it's my beat 'em up and Pokemon machine. I love it. But irregardless of that, in 2023, the hardware of the Nintendo Switch is starting to show its age. A lot of games aren't performing well or just being toned down. Obviously, they have to be toned down, but it just doesn't look good. If you take a look at games like, even like flagship games, if you take a look at games like Breath of the Wild, you take a look at games like Age of Calamity, you take a look at games like Sonic Frontiers, like these games aren't running that great. They're dipping into the 20s, and I'm talking about frame rate, right? They're dipping into the 20s. They're dipping into like the 24s, 10s, even 15s of frames. And I feel like once new games or even old games are coming out and they're running like that, it's probably time for some type of upgrade, right? Especially since it's been like 6 years, a little over 6 years. It's probably time to upgrade the system, get a new system out there. And it doesn't even have to be like super duper extravagant like they're doing with the Xbox and the PS5 or whatever. It could just be a small upgrade. So with that, I can kind of segue into what's in the Nintendo Switch. But first, let's talk about what's in the PS5, right? Or what's in the Xbox. Both of those consoles use AMD APUs, right? Nintendo is one of the only consoles that uses Nvidia. So if you're a PC gamer, you're probably thinking exactly what I'm thinking. You're like, oh, if Nintendo uses Nvidia, then there's like a chance or an opportunity that there could be DLSS in Nintendo games, right? So you can still keep that portability, and you could just use DLSS like upscaling or AI upscaling, or even like DLSS 3 frame generation on the Switch and get like a huge performance jump while keeping everything in that small console, which is like huge. And that was something that I thought about. I was like, maybe maybe the reason Nintendo is waiting so long to develop a new console is because they're waiting on AI technology to get better, so they can utilize that frame generation. They can utilize that like DLSS super scaling, because that 100% has to be getting used on the next Switch. Like it's just has to happen. It would be such a huge performer for the Nintendo, especially if you want to keep that portability. You basically don't even have to do much. I, for one, would love to see DLSS on the Nintendo Switch. It's just going to make things look better, perform better, and they're just going to run better, especially if they're able to do some type of frame generation on the next Nintendo Switch console. That would be huge. So imagine you have like you have Breath of the Wild, and on the Nintendo Switch right now it doesn't run at a stable 30, but with frame generation you would have 30 all the time. It would never dip below 30. But yeah, basically Nintendo being one of the only consoles that utilizes Nvidia is huge, just because Nvidia is killing it in the PC market, regardless of how you feel about them. They're killing it with DLSS and all this other AI upscaling, AI generated frames. So if Nintendo can take advantage of that technology, or they're waiting for that technology to get better so they can implement it on their console, that's just going to be huge for Nintendo. And it would be something I'd like to see, because right now I am very unhappy with the performance in almost every Nintendo Switch game right now. Not every game, but a majority. Get close. Okay, this next topic might be a little triggering. And if you know me, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. And it's $70 games. Listen here, because I'm based. I'm 100% based. If we're paying $70 for a game on a 6-year-old console, this game needs to be near perfection in terms of optimization. So if this game is targeting 30 frames per second, there needs to be very minimal dips. So I'm talking about dips that go into like the 29s or the 28s, right? I'm not talking about dips that go into like the 20s, the 14s, the 15s. The optimization for a $70 game on 6-year-old console needs to be near perfect, because what justifies this $10 increase from hardware that's literally 6 years old, almost a decade old? If we were talking about the Xbox, sure. If we were talking about the PlayStation, sure. There's been a hardware change. There's been a hardware upgrade. But we're talking about a 6-year-old console. What the f has changed? Anywho, those are my thoughts on Nintendo not wanting to release any new hardware for the Nintendo Switch up until 2024. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is, and it's fine. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. 3 main points. I think the hardware is starting to show its age. A lot of games that are coming out are just stunted or held back by poor performance on the Switch. And, it is a handheld. There are going to be some drawbacks, but it's been 6 years. It's time for something new. And I do think there are positives to getting a new console. Obviously, there's just going to be better hardware, but, Nvidia, Nintendo is the only console maker that uses Nvidia APU, right? So you're going to benefit from DLSS from Nvidia. You're going to benefit from Nvidia AI upscaling or AI generated frames. And that could be a reason that they're waiting so long, is because they're waiting for Nvidia to flesh out that AI on their cards so they can have a better system with it. But you never know. And then the last point being $70 games. That one just kills me because nothing has changed, right? So we're still here with the same console. There hasn't been a technological upgrade or whatever. There hasn't been anything significant. So I don't think there's a real reason to pay $70 for a Nintendo Switch game, regardless of how you feel about the game, regardless of what you think Zelda is or who cares. I don't think it's worth $70. I don't care. I think if there's an argument to be made that if you have a game, like if you have the games that are on like the new like Xbox or the new PS5, that those games can be $70. And I'm not saying those games are great, but there's an argument to be made that, okay, well, maybe since it's using new technology, recent hardware, there's an argument to be made that why these games are $70. But I just cannot find a reason for a console that's 6 years old. Anywho, if you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it and you think I'm stupid, give it a thumbs down. Be like, bro, you're dumb. What the hell are you talking about? But I like making these videos. I'm going to try to continue making them, and we'll see what happens. But thank you for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you next time. Take care.